Congresswoman.com. Our starting point this morning, gentlemen, is jobs, jobs, jobs. Everyone's going to be looking. What do you think, Allie, are we going to sing?
Well, we're going to see an addition of more than 205,000 jobs. That's the estimate for the month of March. That'll be the third month in a row for 200,000 plus. It'll be the 18th month in a row of job creation. There are a lot of questions as to why that's happening. Some people say that back during the financial crisis, way too many people were laid off. There was they overshot, or companies didn't hire enough in the ensuing months of the recovery. But whatever it is, it's here. Unemployment rate will probably stay the same at about 8.3%. But remember, there's a disconnect there, right? As more jobs are created, more people who haven't been looking for jobs get back in, so it's quite possible the unemployment rate goes up or stays the same. It's
why we've invited Republican Congresswoman Dr. Nan Hayworth of New York. We're sort of neighbors, not very far from here. She serves on the Congressional Job Creators Caucus here to talk about the jobs report. So first, let's talk a little bit about if the projections hold true, and sometimes that can be a little bit of a big if, but people are having consensus around the numbers that Allie just gave. What do you think it means on both the Democratic side and the Republican side?
Well, it's always welcome to have more Americans employed. That's an unalloyed good. The numbers should be higher, though, and in previous recoveries they've been as high, you know, Ali, as 300, even 500,000 jobs a month. So this has been the slowest recovery since the Great Depression, unfortunately, and the unemployment rate does remain in the U3 at 8.3%. In the U6, which is, of course, those unemployed or underemployed, somewhere around 15%. Right. So we've got a long way to go. And the big concern for all of us, irrespective of party, is that we conditions that we know are on the horizon. There is still a lot of hesitation on the part of employers to bring on new human beings in their employ, new employees, because the terms of the 2010 health law, now being debated by the Supreme Court, can be quite onerous, and they're going to get worse. We're facing what Ben Bernanke has termed a tax cliff or fiscal cliff at the beginning of 2013, and my concern is that employers, businesses, small and large, are going to start looking at that cliff and saying, you know what, we're going to have to hold back more than they otherwise would.
There is a flip side to that. Under the health care law, allowing Americans up to age 26 being covered by their parents' insurance has encouraged lots of companies to hire young people because they won't have to be paying their insurance, which is an insane system that a single-payer system wouldn't have to deal with.
Well, or a more consumer-directed system like what they have in Indiana, the health savings accounts for their Medicaid recipients and their state employees. I prefer that particular model.
Unless they run out.
Well, you have to have.
Well, we're not going to debate health care. Let's go back to jobs. Before we derail my entire segment on the jobs report. I know. I'm such a taskmaster.
And rightly so. But that's the concern, is that we are there are conditions that prevail. There's an economic climate in the United States that could be far better. So we can see the opportunities.
Let's talk about the politics of that, right? Because in a way, when it comes to the Republican the candidates right now who are going through the primary process, how challenging is it to run against a jobs number that is, you know, a graph that's kind of going up, right? It's no matter how you read it, and it may not even be in the sectors that would be the best sectors, it's still a positive report.
Well, again, I welcome a positive report. I want nothing more than for our economy to recover completely. That has got to be a good. So it's not about partisanship. It's not about who's running. Well, but, you know, I've endorsed Governor Romney. I endorsed him back in November. And I do feel that he has a very sound and healthy understanding of what makes an economy tick. I do worry about the president's fiscal approach. You know, I'm certainly not going to be shy about that. But again, because look at what we're facing come 2013, and look at what the president's budget proposed, which is an enormous tax increase at a time when we really need those dollars flowing into growth. He signed the Jobs Act yesterday. That was passed through the House and then through the Senate. House accepted the Senate's amendment. That's designed to help our startups.
Will King.
I'm going to say, so that politically you're going to hear three messages from Republicans. You've heard two from Representative Hayworth right here. The length of the recovery.
I love, he's going with the graphics.
I assume people can't hear, so I want them to be able to read it.
We can barely read it.
The length of the recovery has been too long. There's legitimate legitimacy to that debate, and there's some that can rebut it very well.
Do you guys have an email where you get these saws from? I
don't know. If they do, I don't know.
I apologize to my good friend Will for the recovery because it's
your
messing
fingers
up
are covering up your graphics, by the way.
This is a legitimate explanation of what some of the arguments will be. The threats to the economic recovery still exist. There's still a high level of debt. We're going through deleveraging. There's still a high level of debt. There are external threats like Iran. In the end, this is the most important one. How do Americans feel? And according to most polls and some indicators like your take-home pay, Americans still don't feel like the economy's in recovery. That will be the biggest impact in the election.
The difference, Will, I agree with you. This is what Americans are doing. They're taking money out of their pockets.
Thing to do to put a wild
I will tell you, I disagree with the idea.
I'm confiscating that.
I disagree with the idea that we should always hope that our recoveries come on the back of consumerism and that people feel good so they spend more and they get into more debt. But right now, it's the only game we have, and it's working. For what? However you feel about this, the fact is Americans are spending money. They're going out.
I know that we have a recovery in play.
Right.
These are the questions about that recovery.
Now you're looking for an excuse.
No, you're really going to fight in front of the Congress.
Final word for the Congressman. Really, we're having a little bit of a brawl this morning, and it's not between our guests and our panelists, as that sometimes happens. It's just between our panelists.
The effect I have on men. That's all I can say.
I like it. I like it.
Oh, my God. But the fundamental is that we have to think together, Republicans and Democrats alike, about how best we extend opportunity, growth, prosperity to as many Americans as possible. One of the most telling things that I heard recently was Secretary Geithner came to the Financial Services Committee, of which I'm a member, and he extolled in one exchange the growth potential of increasing taxes. He did feel that was a smart thing to do. So I asked him a simple question, not hostilely, I just asked him a question. Could he point to any one of our 50 states, all of which have their own microclimate, all of which have their own tax and regulatory structures? Could he point to a state among the 50 that, with a heavy tax and regulatory structure, was growing better than a state with a lighter structure?
We could point to a decade. We could point to the 90s or the 50s.
Well, but he could not point to a state in which that's the case. We see it here in New York, where we're
California, and over and over.
Exactly. They're all leaving. Enterprise is leaving them, and the worry is that enterprise and investment are leaving the United States. We have to worry about what the Fed is doing to accommodate an accommodative monetary policy, to accommodate an extraordinary level of government spending. We need spending restraint. We need a long-term view of the role of the federal government in the economy. The budget we passed in the House a couple of weeks ago accommodates those goals.
And the person who can manage that message the best is the person who really is going to have a leg up in the election.
Right.
I think
And
we've got to
the
move on.
long-term role of the government and the economy, I think that is crucial.
All right. Got to get to headlines. Good to have you. Thanks very much for being with us. Christine's got the headlines for us. Hey, good morning.
Good morning, Soledad. New